Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another video. And as of today, December 3rd, 2018, Firewall Dragon is banned in the TCG. That is effective starting today. Now, the ban list came out a couple of days ago, and I'm sure pretty much everyone already knows this, and I apologize for being a little late on it. Usually I don't really cover anything ban list, but because this is the main protagonist's ace monster, I feel like it's fitting to cover, so I'm going to cover it from more of an anime side of things and just talk about how Firewall Dragon has been a very weird ace monster, and I have to put quotations around the word ace monster for Playmaker and in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, and we're going to get into that. But yes, Firewall Dragon was banned, I think to the happiness and the enjoyment of probably 95% of people that play the card game in the TCG. I don't know anyone that said this was a horrible move, I can't believe they did this. People that at least played the game. I saw some anime fans that were not thrilled about it, but I mean, either way, Firewall Dragon has been a card that has been very underutilized in the show, and I feel like this might have been the reason. I think the people at Konami knew that Firewall Dragon was a very broken card. People have been calling for it to get banned for a long time, and from my small experience playing the TCG, in fact, my Shadal Dino deck is actually, it just got here, it's fully formed, so I will be playing locals maybe this weekend for the first time. Really excited for that, and everyone that I've talked to has basically told me Firewall needs to get banned. Firewall, if you're unaware, was the cause of many loops, it was the cause of many extra links, it was the cause of many OTKs, FTKs, and it was just a very broken card. And what they did is they tried to hit other monsters, to my understanding, to try to get rid of it. Like the ABC deck, they limited a Assault Core, which really hurt that deck, and by doing that, they were trying to mitigate Firewall's influence on the ABC deck by pretty much destroying the entire ABC deck. Now a Assault Core, now that Firewall is banned, a Assault Core is no longer on the list. So even though they did try and, you know, keep Firewall around, keep Firewall limited, it just wasn't going to happen. And I'm not going to really give too much analysis on the... I know Firewall is really lethal with that Goki extra link combo. I'm not going to give too much insight on the card game aspect of things because there's plenty of other Yu-Gi tubers that I feel could, and probably already have, covered it much more in-depth and much more accurately and confidently than I will be able to do. But just know that Firewall Dragon was a very problematic card in the TCG and just in the game in general, and so they finally went around and they banned it. And yes, it is the first time that a Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonist has had their ace monster banned. And a lot of people have asked me, what does this mean, Dylan? What do you think this means for Firewall Dragon in the anime? Do you think we'll ever see it in the anime again? Do you think that it's just going to be barely used in the anime? And it's a very fair question, but I think to really analyze that question, we need to take a step back and look at how Firewall Dragon has been used in the show up until this point. We are approaching episode 80 on Wednesday, and we know that Playmaker will not be dueling in episode 80, so we can look at how often Firewall Dragon has been used through 80 episodes. Now, another thing to keep in mind is in the OCG, which is the game in Japan, Firewall Dragon is still limited. Firewall Dragon has not been banned in Japan, meaning the country where the show is made. Obviously, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is made in Japan. Firewall Dragon is still limited. It's not banned yet. So this being banned in the TCG might not have that big of an effect on the anime side of things, but Firewall Dragon has been the most bizarre ace card, and this really just kind of sums up him being on the ban list, how weird of a card and how weird of an ace monster Firewall Dragon has been. In the visuals, in the first opening with the wind, in the second ending Writing Life, we see Playmaker with Firewall Dragon, and Firewall Dragon, along with Decode Talker in a lot of shots, seems to be Playmaker's main go-to monster, the Dark Magician of VRAINS, the Stardust Dragon of VRAINS. But let's look at all of the ace monsters. I actually compiled some data. How many duels the ace monsters of the previous protagonists appeared in through the first 79 episodes. Dark Magician, Yugi summoned Dark Magician in 16 duels through the first 79 episodes. Stardust Dragon, now Stardust Dragon is a bit of an interesting one because Yusei did not personally obtain Stardust Dragon and use it until the early 20s, because remember, it was in the possession of Jack Atlas at the start of 5Ds. So Yusei, for the first 20 episodes, really didn't have Stardust Dragon to use. That being said, he still used Stardust Dragon in 10 duels in the first 79 episodes. I skipped over Judah. I didn't even mention Jaden because Jaden used a lot of different ace monsters. He didn't even get Neos, which I've always viewed as his ace monster until early or mid season 2, which was like episode 50, episode 60. So I kept Judah off this list. But moving on to Utopia in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, Yuma used Utopia 23 times during the first 79 episodes. And the best one of all, Yuya used Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon 22 times in the first 65 episodes. Now, the Wikia, when it says card appearances, only went up to 65 episodes, but I'm sure Odd Eyes was probably used about 24, 25 times. So Dark Magician 16, Stardust 10, Utopia 23, Odd Eyes at least 22. Guess how many duels Firewall Dragon has appeared in through 79 episodes? Again, this is before he was on the ban list. 4 duels. We have seen Firewall Dragon on average about once every 20 episodes. He was used in episode 11 against Ryoken during that duel, his first duel against Revolver. He was used in episode 18 against Akira. He was used at the very end of season 1 against Revolver in episode 46. But Firewall Dragon, from my remembrance of that duel, Playmaker didn't use Firewall Dragon's effect. Firewall Dragon was just basically there to be there. He wasn't there to have any usefulness. I'm pretty sure Playmaker was doing a combination with the talkers, with all the code talkers, so I don't even think Firewall Dragon had to be used. It's almost like they just threw him in to give him a little bit of a cameo in episode 46. And then he was used against, I think it was Blood Shepherd in episode 63. But that is the only times that Firewall Dragon, the ace of Playmaker, has made its appearance. Dark Magician 16, Stardust 10, and remember, you said didn't get Stardust 20 episodes until, 20 episodes in. Utopia 23, Odd Eyes at least 22, Firewall 4. If someone came up to me and said, Dylan, Firewall Dragon is not the ace monster of Playmaker, it's Decode Talker, I don't even think I'd argue at this point. And I know Decode Talker doesn't fit the whole 2,500 attack schematics that every protagonist ace has had, but Firewall Dragon just has not been utilized. And he was used twice in the first 18 episodes. If you look at the last 61 episodes, Firewall Dragon has been used twice. And in one of those duels, he was used just for no reason against Revolver, just to basically show up in that duel. And I think in 63, he was used to go into the Cyberse Clock Dragon fusion, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong about that, but Firewall Dragon has just been a strange ace monster. He was advertised as the ace. He has the same 2,500 attack as the ace. In the early visuals of the openings and endings, he appeared quite a bit. He appeared in episode 11 and then 18, so it seemed like he was going to be appearing every 6 episodes. That has just not been the case. Firewall Dragon has really not shown up, and so my opinion on him being banned, I really don't think it's going to change anything. We're on pace to see Firewall Dragon maybe 3 more times before the show ends. And he just has not been a typical ace monster. Playmaker has been very similar to Jaden from GX, where Jaden had so many different plays to go into. Playmaker's got so many different talkers. He's got now Cyberse Quantum, the Synchro. He's got Cyberse Clock, the Fusion. He's probably going to get an XZs at some point, which actually, there was an interesting article that came out yesterday that I'll touch on really quickly. But yeah, just in conclusion with that, Firewall Dragon has been the strangest ace monster, that quote-unquote ace monster, that we have seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Thus far, and him getting banned, I think, just perfectly sums up how strange of a role he has had in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, and that's pretty much all there is to say about that. So I don't think that we're going to see much more of Firewall Dragon. I actually don't even think the ban has anything to do with that. I think maybe the writers knew that Firewall Dragon was a problematic card, and it was a card that was probably heading towards the ban list at some point, and they maybe wanted to wait until VRAINS ended, but they just said, you know what, we're just going to kind of write Firewall out of the show a little bit. It's a very problematic card in the real game, much more problematic than a Stardust or an Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. I mean, not even comparable in terms of the OP-ness of Firewall Dragon, and that's pretty much that, and I think that's why we haven't really seen too much of Firewall Dragon, and now that he's on the ban list for the TCG, we'll have to keep an eye if he gets hit in the OCG, but either way, I don't think we're going to see much more of Firewall Dragon. We've barely seen him to this point, so interesting fact there. But you guys let me know what you think about Firewall getting banned and his minimal use in the show even before he was banned, and let me know if you view Decode Talker as Playmaker's true ace monster. Really interesting stuff there regarding Firewall Dragon. But I do want to take a look at another article really quickly that was posted on Yugioh Organization. So it's more information on Starter Deck 2019, specifically what the central focus of this deck is to a point. So here is the few sentences regarding the new starter deck. A major key sales point of Starter Deck 2019 is it will contain Yusaku's new ace monster in the Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS animated series. This goes along with the fact that the deck is meant to be comfy for beginners to use, and the ultra rares, one of which is this new ace, can also come in secret rare. So very interestingly, they do not reveal this new ace monster, and I immediately thought, well, maybe it could be Cyberse Quantum, the new synchro we saw. But if it was Cyberse Quantum, they'd probably be advertising Cyberse Quantum in this pack. I didn't even notice, but actually the article is titled YugiohOrganization.com/Is this the end of Firewall? That's actually a really funny like HTML for the page. But honestly, I think that this new ace monster, I've always felt that the easiest summoning method, and it's one of my favorites for maybe being a little easy, is the XZ summoning method. You just get the same levels, and then you overlay them, and you slap a card. You don't need to worry about tuning. You don't need to worry about adding levels. You don't need to worry about having a tuner or having a fusion monster, or what the conditions for a fusion monster is, or what the conditions for a synchro monster is. I feel like XZ's is very simple and probably the easiest summoning method to learn in terms of extra deck method. And so if this is going to be easy for beginners to use, I think an XZ's monster fits. That's just my opinion. Maybe other people will feel XZ's is not the easiest extra deck summoning method. But the fact that it's his new ace monster and they're not advertising it as anything makes me think that Yusaku is going to be getting an XZ's. And we already got a Salomon Grade XZ's revealed to us. Not saying that that one is going to be in the show as part of Soulburner's structure deck. Dark Neostorm comes out January 12th. And it is actually pretty bizarre that we are a little over a month away and we do not have the cover card for that pack yet. I thought we would get the cover card in November, but I really do believe that the cover card for that pack, which will definitely be appearing in the show, is going to be an XZ's, and I really do believe that we are maybe 3 or 4 weeks away from having an XZ's monster appear in VRAINS. I really think it's that close around the corner, and I think early on in 2019, VRAINS is going to be the year of the XZs, the year of the synchros. We've seen already with synchros and VRAINS, which I'm not a huge fan of. Everyone is just spamming synchros. Like, Revolver used it, and now everyone's using it without explanation. Like, where were these synchros in the first 70 episodes of the show? I'm sure it will happen with XZs as well. And then for the last 50 episodes, we will just have to speculate if pendulums will appear in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS as well. But yeah, really interesting article here that Yusaku will be getting a new ace monster in VRAINS, and most likely it will be well, I shouldn't say most likely, but there's a good chance it will be an XZ's monster. So you guys let me know what you think of all of this. I am really excited to hear from all of you regarding any of this. A special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons, Alexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, James Rose, and Omni Lord, and to my Diamond tier patrons, Bouldergeist, Jesse Wood, and Odd Eyes Vaughn, and to my Egyptian God tier patron, Syn Cloud. A huge thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon. Cannot tell you how much it truly means to me. And a thank you to everyone who just watches these videos. I will talk to you down below. Really looking forward to that. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.